Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Powerful Man Show. I'm your host, Doug Holt, with my co-host, Jake Peterson. Jake, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing really well. Man. It's cold as all get out outside. It's like 1 degree today, but sun's shining and I'm doing good.
It's a little colder here in Oregon than it is in Nebraska. Honestly, we're going through a real big cold spell right now, but it's kind of nice to have that snow on the ground.
Yeah.
Guys, for those listening to this that don't know Jake yet, Jake is one of our advisors at the Powerful Man. So he is one of the guys that gets on a call and helps other men just like you talk through the process and see if either A, the Powerful Man's a good fit, or B, there's another alternative that might be better for you. So all our advisors here go through our programs and walk the walk and talk the talk, and Jake certainly does. But one of the reasons, guys, that I brought Jake on is Jake hopped on to the Alpha Reset in the UK. And what I wanted to know is, and I haven't had a chance to talk to you about this yet, Jake, is I want to hear about your experience. Because I think, you as a husband and a father, going through this process, a lot of the guys will really resonate with that. So first of all, when you were going to the Alpha Reset, what were your expectations?
Oh man, that's a really good question, because what's interesting is we've recapped a couple of the Alpha Resets on the podcast. So if you guys have heard and you're listening to this, you guys have about as much information as I did being on the team. So we don't talk about a lot that goes on there, because one of the things that's really great getting guys to a reset is just like, you don't have any expectations. It's a line that you have to cross, like going into the unknown, getting a little uncomfortable and just showing up and just taking that leap. So for me, what I knew on the other side of this thing was I have seen guys change, right, and talk about the Alpha Reset and stuff like that. And I was looking for that experience. I didn't know what I was walking into, but yeah, I was on a meeting with Tim. It was like on a Tuesday, and we were having a one-on-one, and he's like, and I was telling him, like, in the future, I'd like to go to a reset. It sounds like it's just like a really crazy experience. I'd love to go through that someday. Can we make it happen? And he's like, well, why don't you come to the one this weekend in the UK?
Yeah. And you did. So, we always talk about it, the Powerful Man stepping to the line. We'll go over a little bit of that later. But yeah, the Alpha Reset is kind of like Fight Club, right? Mm-hmm. First rule of Fight Club is you don't talk about Fight Club. Second rule of Fight Club is you don't talk about Fight Club, right? The same thing with the Alpha Reset. So it's an ongoing joke in the community with the guys. The one consistent thing is, every guy that I've talked to says it's a life-changing experience. One of the things that brought up this conversation, Jake, is I was talking to another guy, a buddy of mine, and he recently went to a men's event. I won't mention the company's name. And I was talking to him about it. I said, hey, how was it? He said, it was motivational. And, I kind of got, pumped up a little bit here. And he said, yeah, the downside, there's about 100 guys there and one teacher and then some helpers. And that's all we had here. How many guys were at your Alpha Reset?
I think we had 7 guys that went through it with me. Plus Tim, Arthur, and Lee were there to guide it.
Yeah. So that's one of the things I think a lot of people misunderstand about the Powerful Man. And what we do is we keep our groups so tight and small. Mm-hmm. Not a great business model per se, right? But it gets the effective result that we're going after, rather than being a group of 100 men kind of getting lost in the crowd and getting out there. But I'll come back to this guy's story about his experience, because I think it's going to parlay into what I'm guessing yours was. So here you are, you're with 6 other guys, 3 coaches in the UK at the Alpha Reset. Without giving any of the secret sauce away or the expectation, kind of explain your experience the best that you can going through that.
Yeah. So it's what it is you really show up in a place that you're unknown. So you've already taken the lead. Now you've made the decision to make it to a reset. So you're already in the unknown. And one of the things that we do first is I think it's okay for me to share this. We just disconnect from the outside world. So no technology, right? Because a lot of us, we're in our heads a lot of the time. We're thinking about the emails that we got to write for our business back home, or whatever we've got to do, thinking about back home. And so just doing that on one of the first days is just to get you disconnected from that and into the experience. Now you've dived in. I kind of think about it like, if you were trying to learn Spanish, right? You're back in high school, you're trying to learn Spanish and you're reading, you're in your books and all this stuff. That's one way to learn. But maybe just drop your butt off in Spain or in Argentina and just in front of a bunch of people that only speak Spanish, like the experience there is going to give you that much more. So you get disconnected from what you're used to, and you walk into this brand new world where you're just open up to like, all right, now what's next? The first day there is getting to know the other, guys there, right? Connecting with the other guys, getting to know, and just making that connection, because you guys go through this thing as a group, as a core, and you're going to rely on each other a lot through the weekend to come out of it and really experience something cool. So through the weekend, it was all just about just like looking internally, a little bit of self-awareness, a little bit of being present with yourself, and just taking yourself on a journey and just allowing that to happen in a way that, for me, I'd never done anything like this before. I'd never gone on a journey like this, and it was just mind-blowing, eye-opening, just incredible. It was incredible for me.
That's awesome. Yeah, a lot of guys will describe it almost like a psychedelic experience, just without the throwing up or other things that come with psychedelics going through it. Okay, great. So you got this experience, you bond with the guys, you have an amazing life-changing experience. And of course, you got to go back to reality. You got to hop on a plane, go back from the UK to the US, and you're going back into your real world life. And when I was talking to this friend of mine about his experience at the event, the motivation, one of the things he said to me, Jake, was like, yeah, after about 2 or 3 days, it just wore off. And they recommend I go back again, right? Soon, as soon as I can, and go back again within a couple months and do the event again. What was your experience integrating back into, quote, real life?
Yeah. So for me, Doug, it was really wild. Like you changed at a really base level once you've been there. It's kind of like when you walk into that and you're at like level 21, going through this, man, it bumps you up to like level 35, and we're all like trying to climb the ladder of success in our life, and the things we do, the inputs we put in our, into our minds and stuff, and experiences we go through, we level up. This is like jump starting, leapfrogging like 10 levels. Right. And I think there's something to be said about, like dopamine cycles. If you get really high on something, say it's drugs, right? You get a real high, but then you get this crash afterwards. And what that does is, I think it forces you, this is just, science and mindset stuff, but you're going to experience a little bit of wow, I want to go back to the Lake District. I want to be back in the reset right now. So I came back, and just like the first couple of days, man, I was so connected with my wife, with my family, just like present and just feeling powerful, like just 10 feet tall, walking around the house, like, ooh, I've leveled up, like Superman. And so my wife, hopefully she doesn't listen to this, but I'm going to go ahead and throw this out there. We had just issues like connecting, like heart to heart, real connecting in the intimacy department in our life. So one of the first things that happened was like, that was just immediately different. I won't get into too many details, but it was just like, a lot of guys are looking for sex, right? They want that, but when I talk to guys, it's not just about the quantity of sex. It's about the quality of sex, like really connecting with the person that they truly love. Right. And so I got that in a way that I've never had before, which was such a crazy experience. Me and my wife just like connected. And so went through that. I had actually, just like shifted all the things I was doing with my daughters. My daughter and I immediately got into a new hobby. We started rock climbing, because I knew that one of the things I was messing up in my department, or in the dad department, was just not giving my presence to my daughters. I've got 3 between the ages of 9 months and 12. So just shifted all those things. Like immediately there were those things that were present in my life. Then the dopamine thing hit, right? I kind of came to a low, and I'm like, man, I just wish I was back at the lakes. And so I kind of went low for a little bit. I guess I just want that to be known a little bit, because you might experience like a little bit of a dip. If you've ever been to like a Tony Robbins, conference, you're so high, you're jumping off the, swinging from the rafters, and you're just like 1,000 feet tall. You're going to come back down to life a little bit. But where I'm at now, like a couple weeks post reset, is like, I knew where I was before level 21. I'm not still at level 35, but I feel like maybe at level 28, 29 now. And just like, it feels different.
Awesome. That's great. I mean, anytime you can up level and take it with you, it's a constant framework. But more importantly to me is something you said, and I know I went through this with my wife as well, and she allows me to talk about it, is when you go through in marriage, you got 3 kids, I got 2, and you go through life, you're not able to connect like you used to. And you're managing the business of your life, right? So to speak, and your family. And over the time you just become less connected. And with that drift, obviously that passion can leave the bedroom, that passion can leave the living room going through. And for a lot of guys, with that loss of passion comes a little bit of a loss of, at least for me, it did, of self-respect, not feeling worthy enough, or like there's something missing. I just didn't know what to do. So I thought I would just grind it out more. Did you experience that kind of thing? And then that transition, when you get that connection, you're like, this is what I was missing.
Yeah, there's something to be said about limiting belief. All of our limiting beliefs that we all have, right? I definitely carried around with me for a long time feelings of like, I need validation, right? I need words of affirmation. I thought that I needed that. That was a limiting belief for me, and feeling a little bit out of place. I'm not a multi-million-dollar business owner, so sometimes there would be occasions where I'm like, what can this guy who's making, $10 million a year, learn from me? I'm just little old me, right? So you get a little bit of imposter syndrome. And so you fake confidence a little bit, right? I bring, I'm funny, I'm humorous. And I kind of put on this mask of like, here am I, I'm entertaining, right? Here, I'll tell you a joke. And this is the mask that I think I wore. Coming out of the reset for me, what I really realized is I'm looking around now, it's like, this is it. This is me. Like, this is real. And I just like, that's been a huge improvement for me. I don't know what limiting beliefs I'm still holding on to now, but I don't think there's many. I just feel like this is it. This is real. This is a real me, and I belong here. That imposter syndrome thing, it doesn't creep up in the back of my mind anymore, which is pretty significant for me, having carried that for, the last 10, 15 years.
Well, yeah, that's awesome. I'm gonna let you know a secret. Every man has imposter syndrome. And that whether you're making 10 million, your take home's 100 million, we've got guys all over the board that attend the alpha resets and the activation method. And almost all of them say the exact same thing, Jake. And that's, we think we know who we are, right? But what we know is the representative that we put out to the world. As you said, I do the same thing. You'll make people laugh. They'll like you. Boom, you're in, right? Some guys, I'm smart. I'll use my intelligence. Boom, I'm in different ways, right? And maybe younger as athleticism, what have you.
Sure.
But what happens at the alpha reset, guys, is especially the guys that go through the activation method, then into the alpha reset, what you're given is a doorway that allows you to meet the real you. Because we don't have a rite of passage anymore in our lifetime, right? Hey, Jake, you're 18, you're a man. Best of luck, right? And right. we just get older. We're like older boys, faking it the whole way and figuring it out for the best we can. The
Sure.
alpha reset kind of it really, tell me if I'm wrong, it just rips it out of you. Like there's no like, let's gingerly go. It rips it out of you pretty quickly.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's like, yeah, you're going to ramp up quickly. As long as you allow yourself to go through the experience, just to allow it to work on you, it will. It's undeniable. If you open up for that, it's just an on-ramp to just like the real you. Oh, it's wild. Oh man, it's wild.
Well, that's why we keep the ratio so small, is because if it was a group of, say, if you could think back to your alpha reset, let's just say it's 50 guys there and 2 coaches, right? Doable, but guys could hide out. Most guys would get a great result. Some guys would be able to hide out. The reason we keep these groups smaller is you can't. Can't. The coaches, I'm sure you saw, we have big playbooks that we're going through, and they're talking every time. I won't say when, but certain times that I'm sure you figure out the coaches are conferencing. So each guy is on their own journey, yet it's also a collective journey happening. So everybody gets a result.
Right.
So 10 million or not, man, you're going through it and it's going to happen.
100%.
So as an advisor, I'm going to take a quick twist. What are a couple things that you're hearing from the men when you're chatting with them that they're going through their lives and they're going through the problems that you think directly apply to something like the alpha reset?
Yeah, I think a good way to say this, Doug, is it's just like there's things in life that right? And then there's things, like I know how to do my job, right? There's things in life that you don't know, right? I don't know how to speak Portuguese. I know I don't know that. And then there's things that you don't know. And so what I hear from a lot of guys is just like, I'm stuck where I'm at. I've tried all these other things. I've been through counseling and I've been at this thing for 20 years, and I haven't figured it out yet. And in my mind, I get to see this from a lens of I've seen this process work for so many guys, hundreds of guys. So when I look at it through my lens, I'm just like, listen, man, I know you've got these issues and we can help, but you can't necessarily just give them your eyesight and your foresight into this thing. So what I think, how this relates to the alpha reset is just, I had no idea what I was going to walk into. I knew what the result was because I'd seen other guys get a result. And it was all just about making a decision in my mind to do that. Just putting yourself out there to discover something that you don't even know. Right. I think about this. My daughter and I just started rock climbing. And there's this, the way you do bouldering, it's not with ropes or anything, but this was just last Saturday when we went. There's this, you follow color coded paths, right? So there was this pink run that you had to climb up. And it's like a 20-foot wall, and it's like, there was this run that was like pink. I think there was like 4 handholds to get up the entire thing. And I'm sitting there, I get up the first couple and I'm climbing a little bit, right? And I'm sitting here looking at this one that's like 10 feet above my head. And I'm like, how in the world am I going to get there? And literally I'm 10 feet off the ground and I'm scared, right? I don't know how I'm going to get up there, but I want to accomplish this, right? I want to get up there and get that pink. And I just was terrified, almost petrified, right? Actual fear in my body. And so a guy comes up behind me that, he seemed a little more experienced, and he's like, hey, do you want some help with that run? And I'm like, yeah, man, I'm like just freaking out up here. And he just offered me the way forward. He's like, I had no idea how to get there, but he's just like, okay, grab the one on the left, scoot your feet up this wall, move your foot over there and just reach for that one. And I'm like, all of a sudden this was unlocked for me. And I'm like, just because this guy, he'd done it before, he showed me how to do it. I immediately had no fear. I just climbed up there and achieved what I wanted to achieve. And it's just like things like this. I just think that you just got to get around people that have been through it, and they're going to coach you through. And that's why I wake up just happy to do what I do every day.
It's an awesome story. I love it. Mm-hmm. And so true, right? What I always tell, something that strikes me right now, being on this side of the fence, so to speak, is men like you, right? We have guys like you, and if you're listening to this right now, just imagine yourself. If I asked you, hey, come on a recording and record your personal life experience, you'd be like, hell no way I'm doing that. That's exactly the same thing all the men that are in our testimonial videos would have said. But like you, Jake, after they go through the experience that changes their life, they go, yeah, I will get on if this helps one other man, because the consistent thing is, I wish I would have done this sooner. Right. And so, that always leaves an impression on me, because guys, if you're listening to this podcast, you're hearing Jake, Jake's a guy just like you, just like me. Right. And the guys, if you go over to YouTube or anywhere else, you'll see testimonials from men just like you who didn't want to be on camera until they did. And what I mean by that is they felt called, like, wow, this changed my marriage. This changed my business. This changed my personal life so dramatically that I feel called to be on video and share this, even though there's trepidation there, but this is really changing lives.
I think there's something to be said about that there, Doug. I always think about this in my life inside the activation method in the program. Just on the podcast, you guys will hear this theme repeated. It's be, do, have, right? And that's where we start guys out. But there's another level to this. It's be, do, have, and then share, right? And whatever that is for you, it's like, for me, I just want to put out like an impact in the world. I want to teach my daughters to grow up and be around men like you, just guys that are like, going at a higher level. And I want to teach guys lessons about life, and just like unlocking the secrets to really how life is best lived, just being satisfied with what you have while you're chasing down what you're going to get someday. Right. So it's just that extra step. Once you get to be, do, have, and you figured those 3 out, then it's just share. It just makes the world a whole lot better. And I feel good doing it. Just us personally.
I love it. Well, Jake, on behalf of me and the hundreds of men you help on a weekly basis, thanks for all that you're doing, man. It's truly a blessing to have you in the movement.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Doug.
Guys, as we always say, in the moment of insight, take some action. Listen to Jake and his experience, right? And listen to what he did. Now, you don't have to go through the activation method. You don't have to go to an alpha reset. But if you have an insight out of this, and like Jake was talking about bouldering, if there's a fear in your life, take action. Find someone who's been down the road a little bit further than you and cut that distance, that learning curve. Don't let it be another week, month, year, decade for some of us before you actually are able to live that life that you know you were meant for. Gentlemen, as always, take action. We'll see you next time on The Powerful Man Show.